welcome back. Excited to see you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. If you're a new listener, welcome. If you're an old listener or if you're a returning listener, thank you guys for tuning in again. Take a lot of pride in the work that we're doing. So thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate you and your time. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Said Connects. Make sure to go ahead and follow us on Instagram at said_connects. That's CED_CONNECTS. If I haven't said so already, my name is Danny. I have my host B. We actually had some technical difficulties recording this episode, so I'm redoing this intro. So you're gonna see I'm wearing something completely different right now than what we did for this actual interview. But I want to thank you guys for rocking with us. This is Said Connects, Cannabis Entrepreneurial Dialogues. Our mission is to create safe spaces for people of color, brands of color, minorities in this cannabis industry to be able to educate and empower our communities through storytelling and sharing experiences. It's important for us to showcase representation, and what better way to do that than here on screen having these conversations with individuals and the community. And if it's something that you want to hop on, make sure to hit us up, send us a DM. I'd love to have you guys on the show. So make sure to hit us up. Let us know what's going on. Let us know if you guys want to see someone that we can maybe reach out to, or if you want to go ahead and set that up for us, man. I'd definitely appreciate that. So thank you guys again for tuning in. And I want to get into this episode. I'm excited about our guest. As you can see, she's an amazing individual that has been in the cannabis industry for a few years now, and she's been doing it in many ways, but specifically by storytelling as well. And she's been able to travel the world to be able to capture these stories, to be able to again also help change the culture around, eliminate stigmas, and I'm excited to share her story with you guys. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest, editor-in-chief and owner of Skunk Magazine, Juile Chiariello.
Hey.
How are you, Julie? How are you?
I'm doing great, Danny. Thank you for having me on, Danny and B. Thank you so much.
So, and this is like an awkward start right now, but we're gonna make this work. Talk to me about well, first, thank you for coming through.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you for coming in. Share with me a little bit about your backgrounds. We do with every other guest that we have here. We always like to learn more about you, more about your upbringing. What was that like? So please share with me a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, you were just asking me before we started what my nationality was. And so I'm first generation Cuban immigrant. My family came from Cuba when my mom was 15. We settled in California. My grandmother was actually born in the States. She only lived here for a year and then lived in Spain, in Catalan, in southern France and northern Spain, the Catalan region. She lived there, and her father was a Cuban painter. Her mother was a French dressmaker and Spanish as well. And they lived there until she was 15, and then they moved to Cuba. And that's where they were until Castro came to power. And when Castro came to power, instead of going to Florida like most Cubans did,
Right.
they went to California because my grandmother had a half brother there in Thousand Oaks. So I found myself, I was born and raised in California. I'm a native, and found myself as the only Cuban family in my Central Coast, my California town, Santa Maria, which is an hour north of Santa Barbara. So we were the only Cuban family there, amidst a very agricultural town with Oaxaqueños, a lot of Oaxaqueños, and a lot of people from Salvador, Guatemala, and other, Central and South American countries.
We had a lot of people here that, for those that have listened to us in the past, we used to work for Lowell, and the farm at the time was in Napomo, right? next city over. So
Oh,
a lot of the
wow.
folks that did work with us or that we had relationships with, like at least through our work, were folks from Santa Maria. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was just it's interesting, I've always felt like a spiritual thing with Santa Maria, La Sagrada Maria, the sacred La Maria that the I thought, wow, how amazing that I was born in Saint Mary,
Yeah.
and that the marijuana plant that is sacred. And I became a stoner when I was 16,
Okay.
15, and
15.
tried
Okay.
my first cannabis. And, at the time, we had a mixture of the La Mota coming from down south
Down south, right?
and the brickweed with
Yeah.
seeds and stems and everything. And then we had the NorCal weed coming down from BC and NorCal and just making its way down. So we had this mixture of the traditional Mexican style weed, and then we had the NorCal weed that was coming. So it was an interesting place to be, and I've been
Right.
there, seen the evolution in California throughout the whole process
Sure.
of the compassion, 215 and where we are now, in this kind of genocide and bloodbath that we're seeing with Prop 64 and overtaxation and overregulation. But
And we're gonna get into that because I have a few questions about that. I know we've had discussions with just like my inner circle with the taxes and
right.
the conversations about whether they're going to be pulling cultivation tax or not, and what's going to happen or what can happen after the fact is with the retailers. Um, and we might as well just get into it now. Um, well, what was brought up was that you know the cultivation tax is looking to be taken out,
Right.
and what some of the fear is that because the cultivation tax isn't going to be there anymore, the retailers are going to ask for less because of because now they're not paying, they don't have to pay that extra money. Do you have any thoughts on that, or have you heard anything in that nature?
Well, I mean, we're dealing with the overtaxation for certain, and we're dealing with a 53% cultivation tax. 53%.
Right.
Wow.
That's extremely high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when we had the revolt at the Boston Tea Party for overtaxation of tea, it was 4% tax rate. So just if you can imagine that, and we're way overtaxed from
For
alcohol or
sure.
tobacco, even. I think. I mean, I would have to look back on the stats for tobacco. But one of the things that's, in addition to overtaxation, we're also dealing with overregulation. So it's
Yeah.
just the difficulty in coming to market and fuck metric. I mean, like it's a horrible system that everybody
Everyone's
hates.
sentiment.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, you got to look, label and tag each and every fucking plant. Like
Right.
this is ridiculous how they're doing this.
Yeah.
But then you're also dealing with the fact that, we used to have thousands of dispensaries. Now we're down to like 600. And to me, we're dealing with a situation where we're in a land of plenty, but we're dying of thirst. And it's a contrived situation. We have everything to have an abundant system, to have a successful system, to have a lot of small and mom and pop businesses,
Right.
but it's not being allowed because of the overregulation. And so, I think like having these desert areas in regions that used to have thriving traditional market economies,
Right.
and now in the legalization, they're now desert areas where people are like, fuck it. Like it's even worse under legalization. So now we're not even going to try. And of course, the traditional market remains
Sure.
because, like people are still going to be hustling,
Yeah, that's true.
and we were talking about it too a moment ago, that the cost of doing business, the cost of living is going up,
Right.
but the amount of money to be made is going down. And so we're dealing with a very, very harsh, tenuous, you know, difficult situation that
Right.
I think is going to get darker before it gets better.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
taking away the cultivation tax is absolutely key because it's a bloodbath. It's a
Right.
genocide. All the farmers are dying,
They are.
and it's massive. It's a massive genocide. And I mean, personally, I lived in Quebec for 5 years. I left California because Skunk Magazine started in Quebec. And so I watched legalization happen in Canada over 5 years. And I watched the same genocide with thousands and thousands of businesses dying and big, monopolies coming in, multi-million dollar monopolies, usually led by white male counterparts,
Right.
and a lot of cronyism in that system. A lot of police, a lot of political people were put into positions of power within cannabis,
Mm.
and so a lot of corruption. But even though it was a different system than what we have in California, it was the same result.
Right.
It was a genocide. It was a killing of the culture of the people that had been nourished over decades of time, a people that had waited for a way to do business legally, a way to function in the system legally.
Yeah.
That's all we
Yeah.
want. And it's not being allowed. It's not being given to us. We're having to fight for it. And we're having to fight for it in a way where we're putting ourselves in danger. So many people are still straddling traditional market
Right.
with legal market because there's no other way to survive.
Yeah.
Um,
And
that's not right.
and to give
That's not right.
and for our listeners for perspective, like as Julie mentioned, like 53%, that equates to about what the cultivation tax in dollar amounts is about 165, 170 per pound,
Mhm.
I want to say. And so prices have dropped. And so a lot of like the outdoor flower that is being produced, which is another issue of overproduction, but outdoor flower right now are you can find anywhere between 150 to $300 a pound to then have to pay $170 on top of that on your taxes. People don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like they'd rather just say, forget it, I'm not going to buy the legal weed and go
Go somewhere
back
else.
traditionally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You
so
might as
just for
well.
that perspective for our listeners that may not have those like the number figures like
Yeah.
that's those are some of the things that our farmers are battling out here.
Yeah, you might as well burn your product, like just freaking light it on fire, smoke it to your head, because otherwise you're losing money anyways. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like, this is an act of insanity. It's an act of madness, and it needs to change. It absolutely needs to change.
What are some of the things that you'd like to see change? Like what are like what would be a solution for you?
Well, one of the things that I focus on is education, obviously, having
Right.
a magazine. And so, one of the things that's still in the green rush dynamic, one of the failures was that a lot of people are still not educated. Only 15% of our doctors know about the endocannabinoid system. So many people still don't know that they have an endocannabinoid system, and that system functions with cannabinoids, plant cannabinoids, like human cannabinoids, and
Right.
that our CB1 and CB2 receptors can receive the plant cannabinoids and create healing and homeostasis in the body. This is science. Whether you use cannabis or not, whether you smoke cannabis or not, this is your right to know that your body has this system and that
Right.
this system is a system of health within your body. Everybody has a right to know this. So that's one thing, is that people need, still, we have to go hard with the education, and we have to go hard over the next 10 years, 20 years, so that more and more people can be educated. The other thing we're doing is that, once people are educated on, like the microbrew movement, the back to the farm to table
Yeah.
movement,
Mhm.
the farmers markets movements,
Yeah.
that once people are educated on where is this grown, how is it grown, who
That's
was it
right.
grown by, once they taste the terpenes, once they taste beautiful herb, it's really hard to go back to substandard herb once you know what good herb is like.
Yeah.
So what I'm really keyed in on is how can we do farmers market events? How can we do, live events, whether it be in store or, as I said, farmers markets. I dream of having cannabis farmers markets all across the state.
Right.
And I have many different entities that are doing that right now, where people can come out and they can meet the farmer, they can taste the flower, and they can fall in love with it. And once you've fallen in love, you're going to definitely want to try and support those brands.
Yeah.
Um,
How different it would this cannabis farmers market be to, let's say, the traditional sessions that you can find that pop up all around the city, if there is any difference?
no, there really isn't. It's you have the license and you do the
So you
thing.
just do it with
But
okay.
what people, it's about the license.
Yeah.
If you have the
Right.
license, so like we're doing an event in August on August 6th, and we're gonna do a meet the farmer component, and those farmers are going to be putting their products, because they're metric, they can put them
Sure.
onto the menu that we're going to have there, and then that way people can participate and try them. So I think that just like we've been agile this last 125 years of prohibition, we need to remain and continue to remain agile, and we're going to have to, amidst this bloodbath, we're going to have to continue to kind of like water around rock. We have to keep on finding how can we make the system more equitable for us? How can we survive in this system? They don't care about us. I mean, yes, we do have to lobby at the state and the federal level. We do have to keep educating at those levels. But I'm speaking about once the populace is educated, once the populace knows about their endocannabinoid system, once they understand why is outdoor organic sun grown superior, or clean indoor grown in living soil is superior? Why is it superior? For them to become knowledgeable
Right.
and start to buy those things. It's just like beer. Like, more people are buying Lagunitas than they would have ever before versus Budweiser. People are still buying Budweiser, but a lot of people are buying the microbrew because they're like, oh, this is actually a more high quality experience.
Right.
So I think that, that's what we got to keep pushing for over the next 10, 20 years. And it's not going to be easy. I don't think that this is like some pie in the sky, beautiful scenario. No, it isn't.
Right.
And minorities, we have a huge task to continue to fight for a place at the table as well.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
But it's true. But some of the things that came to my mind was like,
A lot.
at least for me, I'll speak for myself personally, and maybe I don't know, but I when it let's speaking on regular food, like we'll go to my family and I will go to farmers markets on weekends, um, and we'll go, but then, but for me, I don't see other than I don't see the difference between like the quality of the products for me,
Mm-hmm.
um, like than I would just for me. I like going because it's a different experience. It's outside.
Yeah, your little
I'm
ones
supporting
enjoy
local.
it.
I'm supporting the local farmers. But in terms of like me wanting to go and find out more about how was it grown, and I'm sure and there's ton of people out there like that,
Yeah.
right? So how can we change like someone like me and my mind about the importance of finding out where this actually grew and why that's important?
Yeah. Well, I mean, whether you are aware or not, you are still a part of the change.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're going.
Yeah.
So, and then I think the awareness is going to come over time, where like if you're going to a meat vendor and you're like, oh, this is organic free range pork and it's grown humanely
Like,
and
I know
sustainably,
exactly
and you're
where it's
like,
Right.
coming
man, I
from.
love that sausage. I love that bacon. Like,
Yeah.
who can like whatever, like I just go there and buy it. Well, that's fine.
Right.
But later maybe the awareness will come.
Yeah.
I think that, I try and always, when I look at business or I look at what my work is in within the global cannabis movement and the activism, I try and think about Mother Earth. I try and think about the plants themselves and how do they work? How does nature work? And nature works slowly over time. And nature works in a soft way that by consistency, by, and we talked about, you guys talk about it, representation,
Mhm.
by being consistent, by showing up over time, things are going to change. And I don't need an answer today, now, this moment. That insistency, that pressure, that's part of the scarcity mentality that is ruling our world.
Right.
But Mother Earth, Mother Nature, she's abundant in her mentality.
Yeah.
There's no scarcity in nature. Scarcity is man-made.
Hmm.
The fact that there are people without is man-made. That's not in nature. In nature, everything is provided. If we're connected with nature, if we work with the land, if we learn to plant our food and medicine, if we follow the seasons, if we follow her natural laws, if we listen to her, then we will have everything we need. And that's the truth that nobody can take away and nobody can change. That is the truth.
Right.
Period. End of story. So I'm always thinking about, how can I get in alignment with her, not in alignment with this Babylon scarcity mentality,
Yeah.
fucked up situation that's been ruling our world for the last many centuries. No, how can I go more towards what the indigenous, all indigenous humans around the planet know? If we stay connected with Mother Earth, if we follow her patterns and her laws, then we're going to be okay. And that's my whole mission with Skunk, is really, how can we make new style business that actually acknowledges these things? And these are harder things to do, especially when we're under duress and we're just fighting for survival and just fighting to
Yeah.
keep a roof over our heads. It's really hard to fight for the higher ideals, but who cares? Like, we still have to do
Yeah.
it. And that's why, that's why Skunk is the only cannabis magazine devoted to organic cultivation practices, even though organic cultivation practices are still not the norm. They're the exception. But we're going to keep on fighting for organic cultivation to be more of the norm over the next 10 to 20 years. This is a long game energy. This is a Mother Earth energy. So that would be my answer, is that
Yeah.
it's not about people recognizing right now, this moment, oh, who grew it? How did they grow it?
Yeah.
No. But over time, if we can create culture to allow as many people as possible to come in and get deeper understanding, then that's what we got to keep on going towards.
I really like that answer because it explained everything, and it's an answer that when you hear advocacy of cannabis, you hear everyone just say education, education, education needs to be there. But when it's that mindset, like I just brought up, it's how do you do that, and you explain that eloquently. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Danny.
Just to, and of course, that's a lot. I'm sure that a lot of people that are listening, were they resonated with that, because there is, there's a culture here in the U.S. And just briefly, I just recently saw a video where somebody who's not from the U.S. Went to the grocery store and their spouse chose produce, and they said, the person, the spouse that isn't from the US said, "What the hell are you doing? Like, we don't eat that right now. It's not in season." And so going back
Right.
to that, and that's why it is important. It is, we've become blind to it. And so, but because you brought skunk up, one of the things is how to get started.
How to get
How
started
to
with
get skunk
with skunk,
skunk
and
get started. Yeah.
yeah. Well, so Skunk got started back in 2003. So it's a 16-year-old company. It was started by two men, Attilio and John, based in Quebec, Canada. John is Greek and Attilio is Italian, and they were two guys who were in printing, and they were printing everything, And at the time, they printed everything. So they did cannabis, they did porn, they did all kinds of stuff. They were printers. And they started working for this magazine called Heads, which was an old school magazine in Canada. And they worked for Heads, and they created like really cool magazine with them. And they decided they wanted to leave, and they started their own magazine in 2003. And what it was definitely a contrast to what was out at the time. At the time, the only other kind of magazine that was out there successfully was High Times. And so they came in, and Skunk was really the alternative to High Times. And at the time, they started out right out the gate with organic cultivation practices, which at the time was very, to me, leading edge. A lot of people were just growing with salts, growing with the regular nutrients, and they really started to show a different way with the Rev, our cultivation editor, showing True Living Organics. And so they were going along, and they were working with the top genetics companies in the world, the top breeders. And about 10 years ago, a court battle came down from the RCMP, where they came after them for seed importation and seed trafficking. And it was a case that they fought for close to 6 years.
The creators
The
Yeah.
of
two original founders.
What the
Yeah.
heck?
So 10 years ago, I met the owners. And by that time, I was already in the industry. I had gotten in the industry 6 years earlier in the vaporizer uh, segment of the industry. And I was sales and marketing director and took a company global. And I was opening up that company all over the world and making them millions and millions of dollars. And that's when I met John and Attilio at Skunk, and I became friends. And they started writing an article on the company that I represented, and then I started writing some articles for them. And so I started kind of collaborating with them,
Before you
and that's
continue,
how I came in to Skunk.
were you always into like writing?
Yeah.
You were okay.
Yeah, I've been a writer my whole life, and a certified herbalist of 25 years and a businesswoman of 26 years. And so I studied business theory, and I incubated many different products within the health and wellness sector, within yoga. I was in the yoga industry for many years, and into health and wellness, and a healer, in addition to what I did as in business. But when I met them 10 years ago, I definitely felt a sense of a connection, a dramatic connection, because they were the only magazine that was devoted to organics globally. They were devoted to genetics. And I really saw also, they were talking about psychedelics, entheogens. And I saw that there was this kind of invitation to have a deeper conversation. And so I negotiated for ownership to basically modernize the magazine and bring the magazine into the future. And from there, one of the owners was bought out. And then just recently, in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, I moved the company from Canada to California, moved back here, and have purchased the magazine from the last owner. So now both of the two previous owners are no longer a part of the current
And now it's
Skunk
just
Magazine.
your sole owner.
Yeah, and I'm sole owner.
I love it. I love
First
it.
generation Latina.
Oh yeah.
Like I
That's
am an
huge.
immigrant, and I am like in the industry, I'm in a 3% minority as a Latina, woman owned, woman led business. I know I'm in a minority, and it's been a hard road. I mean, I've died many times on this journey. It has been extremely difficult, and I
Yeah.
have like been kicked around the ring. Let me tell you, this is not like some like sunshine and rainbow story. It is a very harsh, brutal story. It's a harsh and brutal industry. It's not something that's easy, and
Right.
to keep
Yeah.
fighting for higher ideals and higher values is also hard, because I won't work with everybody. I won't take money from everybody. I'm not interested in it. I'll turn business away if you don't fit with our ethos and our
Beautiful.
standard, which
Yeah.
makes it harder, but
It
it's
does.
something that I'm not willing to
Compromise.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that, because we've had a lot of business owners come through
Yeah.
here. And even with my own ventures, um, when you're in, sometimes as you're running businesses, and you kind of touched on it early on with, it's already a hard enough industry to get into, to start up, that depending on the certain situation you're in, any money it that's thrown at you, you're gonna want to take.
Right.
Mhm.
Right? I've been in that situation too myself, where I'm like, all right, let's do it, and then it turned out to be a bad deal, and like you said, learn the hard way of, like, not all money's good money,
Yep.
and it becomes difficult. So I'm glad that you those are your
You held your.
values, and that's your mission for skunk, and so kudos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, and because being a woman, being a woman, and especially because I know that we have listeners who are women who are in the business and who are owners and have a lot to do in the cannabis industry. One, and I normally will ask that, like, what are the things? What let me. What is one of the things that kept you motivated? Because I know that there's a lot of moments where you're like, I just cannot go on. And your body and your mind and your heart will tell you you cannot go on, but something pushes.
Yeah.
So what what were some of those things that kept you going?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, for me, I'm a spiritual person. And I'm in prayer, and so 24/7 I'm in prayer. And I'm constantly having that conversation with God. And I'm non-denominational. Yeah, I was raised Catholic, but I'm not a practicing Catholic. But I do pray to Divine Mother, Divine Father, Holy Spirit, my angels, my guides, and the spirit of the plant herself. I ask her for guidance. I ask her for strength, and there's so many moments when I don't know how I'm going to go on.
Yeah.
I don't understand how I'm going to get through. If somebody has betrayed me, if somebody didn't follow through on their word, if somebody didn't pay their bill, and I go to, I don't look to the outside and to be in my ego or to be in fear. I instead go within and I
Mhm.
pray and I ask, okay, well, this situation has been presented to me. Who do I need to speak to? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do to attend to this next step? What is the invitation for me? What is it that I have to learn? What is it that I have to integrate? And so I'm always seeking the answers within, and then the answers always come. It's
Yeah.
a kind of that ancient truth that ask and you shall receive. It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. If we're willing to humble ourselves and ask and get into a quiet place and listen for the answer, we're going to be given the answer. We're going to be given the guidance to make it through. And we'll be given the guidance to make it through anything. Doesn't matter what it is. And so that would be my best advice. Um, is to look within and look for the answers within, and to be in prayer and to be in gratitude, to visualize what you're calling in and be thankful for it, that you've already received it and that you've already been blessed, and to just keep on giving thanks no matter how dark it gets, no matter how bleak it gets, to hold to that. It's a faith walk. It's a faith walk.
God dang, I feel like this is crazy, but no, and it's crazy just because, like,
Good
like this is like the
question. Always a good reminder.
it was, and because it's like the universe right now, because in my this morning in my I was in my head today about, like, just everything, like, about the business, and we touched on we touched on an episode a few weeks ago that, I just obtained my license. I just obtained my cannabis license, and it's stressful. And literally today, this morning, I'm driving in, and I'm just like, fuck, man, is this shit gonna work? Is
Mhm.
this gonna work? So the fact that you asked the question, your answer, it just lit a fire in my ass right now too. Just like inspired me. Like, all right, cool. This is what I needed to hear.
Come on.
Like, I needed to hear this so that we can get this moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. For and it's interesting. It's interesting to see the things that you've accomplished. It's great to see the things you've accomplished and the fact that you're complete owner of skunk and all the work that you're doing in cannabis. And
We need it again.
go for
We
it.
just needed it
Go for
again.
it. Yeah. And there's so many people out there, because you're the first person has said that a lot of your business, a lot of the way you handle your things are in a very spiritual, very prayer way. Um, and in this industry, or the other way, like God or a higher being is very taboo in the industry. And so I hear a lot of people say, yeah, I used to be from whatever belief they come from, but because they started cannabis, they had to leave that behind, and it's not true, And so it's beautiful to hear you say that, and and me as well. I don't. I know that there's a higher being, and I will constantly say that I'm the black sheep. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people know that we do belong. I mean, we do participate in a door lay. But it's great to see that there's more people following, and that it's okay. It's okay to believe in both things and to wholeheartedly, have a higher being and be able to either in medicinal ways or recreational to participate in
Well, and
cannabis.
they go together. Like, let me just say, I'm a very, very esoteric person. I've studied many of the ancient philosophies of different peoples through time. And when you go back to ancient Sumeria, to the Hermetic practitioners, when you go back to the origins of Judeo Christianity before it was overtaken by kind of that, you know, white male dominator culture, that colonialist culture, which is a raping culture, which is a taking culture, which is a killing culture.
Yeah.
And we want to see an end to the colonialist mindset because it is death. I stand against it. La raza, like we need to fucking continue to fight against
Yes.
and fight for an end to the colonialist mindset. But if you go back before that, and let's talk about this because at Skunk, I have our guiding ethos is the Green Renaissance, which I coined 10 years ago. And the idea was that a renaissance has been taking place over the last 125 years. I believe it began back in the French salons with Gertrude Stein and Alice B. Toklas. Free thought, Hemingway, Picasso, the surrealists, that these people were new thought people.
Mm-hmm.
They were queer, they were free and free lovers, they were, and they affected the beats, they affected the hippies, and now they're affecting us.
Yeah.
And we're kind of the ones we've been waiting for. For anyone listening, it's like it's you. You are the answer.
That's right.
You are the answer. Everybody here who's awake right now on the planet is the fucking answer. And we need to activate, we need to synergize, we need to collaborate, we need to work together to weave this new fabric of reality, this new fabric of being on the planet. And what I would say, just getting back to the root of the Judeo-Christian ethic, is that they took a lot of those original teachings and they manipulated them and they twisted them into something that wasn't true. What the truth is that we are all God. Alan Watts said it, that the biggest taboo in the West isn't sex, because you would think that with the puritanical kind of ethos, but it's actually that we are God. The biggest taboo is that we are God. We are creator. We are God. And the thing with cannabis is that cannabis opens the doorways of our perception so that we can see and understand ourselves as God if we do the work. And this is what as an herbalist, I'm a certified herbalist. I tell people all the time, my son included, who's 21, is that the plants reveal yourself to yourself and you have to do the work. The plants will reveal you to yourself. Will you do the work? Will you integrate the truths that you're being shown? Will you practice? Will you embody the truths that you're being shown? And everybody's being invited. If you imbibe, you're being invited. And so that's the thing for me, is just that, spirituality and plant medicines have gone together for aeons,
Yeah.
for millions of years. And it's time for us to claim it back. And we've been trying to claim it back for the
That's
last
right.
125 years of prohibition. But spirituality was never supposed to be separate
Hmm.
from plant medicine. And that's why we have to keep having these conversations.
Yeah.
That's why we have to keep talking about it. And I appreciate you acknowledging it,
Yeah.
that you don't hear it from many people who sit down here.
Yeah.
But let's change that,
Yeah.
because everybody's a human. Everybody's facing insurmountable tasks. Everybody's had their heart shattered
Yeah.
many times. Everybody's overcome incredible things. So there is spirituality there. It's just a matter of us, to keep on bringing that out.
Nice. I
Sorry,
like
that's
that.
a long-winded answer.
No,
but it
that's-
really touched my
It's
heart. It's
perfect.
really the crux of why
Yeah.
I'm doing the work that I'm doing. Yes, be successful at business. Yes, have a successful magazine. But the deeper thing is the seeding of the consciousness, that the earth has been propagating consciousness with her plants to wake her children up so that they can evolve how they live on the planet. That's really the deeper thing that's going on. That's what I'm devoted to.
I like that.
This is great.
This is a great episode today.
This is great.
But before we continue, gotta pay some bills. So let me get this going. Did you get to your destination and forgot to hit your local dispensary? Well, we got your back with Grass Store Delivery. Grass Store is one of the largest cannabis delivery services here in California, and they can have your cannabis experience delivered right to your door within 45 minutes. So go ahead and visit grassdoor.com and use our personal promo code SEDConnects at checkout, and you'll receive 20% off your first 3 deliveries. Again, that's SEDConnects, CED Connects at checkout, and we'll go ahead and give you 20% off your first 3 deliveries. Now relax and enjoy the rest of this episode while your order is on the way. All right. Sponsors, where y'all at? We need you guys. Well, for our listeners that maybe came in sometime in the middle of this, we got Juile Chiariello from Skunk Magazine, owner, editor in chief. The other thing we forgot to do, B, was say hi to the babies. So I know, but hi Dalia, hi Rosemary. What up, Faith? What up?
Faith gets a what up, Faith.
What up, Faith?
That's what happens when you become a teenager.
Those are
Hi,
my
babies.
those are my daughters.
Aw.
Every episode I like to say hi to them.
Yeah.
Is anyone you want to shout out?
Oh yeah, I'll shout out my son, my baby, Sage. He's 21 years old.
Nice.
He's apprenticing hash maker up in NorCal, so he's in the industry. So
Oh,
shout out to
nice.
him, and shout out to the whole crew at Skunk Magazine, our small but mighty crew.
Yeah.
I love everybody on our team, and you can check us out. Skunkmagazine.com. We have tons of incredible content going up every day. So definitely come see us there. Say hi, skunkmagazine.com. And we're also Skunk Magazine on IG. You can follow us there. You can also follow my personal page, Juile Chiariello, on IG and also Facebook. So feel free to reach out, and definitely completely devoted to Latinos. Shout out to all the Latinos in the industry that are working hard to be a part of the marketplace and be a part of this movement. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we have a lot more work to do. So shout
Absolutely.
out to Latinos.
That's right. Shout out to Latinos in cannabis.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
So talk to us about Skunk Magazine and the team, and you have a summer issue coming out pretty soon.
Mhm.
So talk to us about the creation of what an issue or a seasonal issue? What does it take to create a seasonal issue?
Well, it's a lot. It's a big undertaking. I always say, it's always a miracle to pull it off, and we have to do it without fail. We now do. We used to do 13 issues a year,
Okay.
and now we only do four. And I like that a lot. We moved to quarterly, so we go along with the seasons, which I think is a really nice thing. So we don't have themes per se. We just go along with the seasons, which I really, really like.
Got it.
And the magazine, it takes. We're building each magazine 3 months prior to it coming out on the street. We're building the new magazine. So, my friends, when they ask me how I'm doing, I'm like, oh, I'm at deadline. They're like, you're always at deadline, Julie.
Yeah.
And I am always at deadline, like seriously, always at deadline, which is fine. And it's just, it's a process where, you're building it, you're building it over 2.5 month period. And it's like climbing this huge mountain. And then you get there and there's this release and you're finished and you've crested the peak, and then boom, you go again for the next mountain. So it's always just going into the same cycle again.
Right.
The magazine right now, we are global. It goes out to 4,000 doors, retail doors across North America. We're in all the Barnes and Nobles and magazine retailers and chain stores in
Has
the
it always
US and
been?
Canada.
When did that start? Because
Always.
I feel like I've seen, like, before I was even in the industry. I feel like I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah. It's always had that global
Got it.
reach and traditional
Yeah.
newsstand. Yeah, we've always had traditional newsstand. And then we have 1,000 subscribers globally, that it ships out to all around the world, throughout Europe and New Zealand, Japan, Australia, throughout South America.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yep. And, we're going to keep on doing more expansion. We've been
Yeah.
expanding. We're just doing a special promotion with Barnes and Noble. They're going to be pushing the magazine to the front of every shelf in their stores. And another thing close to my heart is I want to launch Skunk in Espanol. I don't know if we're going to do it before the end of the year, but
Yeah.
it's something that is close to my
That would
heart,
be
and
so dope.
uniting with different Spanish speaking
Yeah.
groups in the space, like El Planteo. Javier, he has El Planteo, which is great. And then
Yeah.
also Polita Pepper has Canativa, which is also really great. And I have family. I mean, they want to read the content in Spanish,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so it's something that I want to do, and it's definitely something that I've just been waiting patiently until we can get there. But I will get
Yeah.
there. I will get there.
We were talking about that last week, huh? Or we were talking about how there is no, like, information
Oh yeah.
that's translated in Spanish.
Mhm.
You can't find that at shops, and you don't see brands taking advantage of that. Even, like, at least I don't see that many Latino brands taking advantage of translating their own material in Spanish.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna
So
do it for sure. And we're gonna do organics.
Awesome.
Because I want the organic, la manera de orgánicas down there, not
Originally,
advanced
yeah.
nutrients and shit, like all this salt. Fuck that shit. Like,
yeah,
and Latinos, I feel like Latinos are actually still, in their sensibilities, are still more connected to nature than their American counterparts.
right.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's, even though maybe it's not totally present now,
Mhm.
I feel like if we can influence the culture, and that's what I always believe, like, we're writing the culture.
Yeah,
We're not waiting for somebody to hand the culture down to us.
That's right.
We're the culture creators.
Yeah.
So don't tell me what our culture is going to be. We're going to tell you what our culture is going to be.
right.
And that's what I want Latinos to do, is
Yeah.
to say, no, we're going to create a thriving culture of holistic health and wellness. Because I feel like, again, Latinos, Mexicanos, there's for the llaveras, the people connected with the plants and teaching plants. and plant medicine, I feel like that is what we want to encourage more of.
Yes,
Yeah.
Not just the industry of cannabis and not
that's
just the
right.
selling of plants, no matter how they were grown, no matter what chemicals you used. Like, this is not right. That's
Yeah.
not what we want. But it's happening. Like, we have a battle on our hands, you
Yeah.
know? So that's why I really do want to get to figure it out.
Yeah,
To do
that's
skunk in Espanol.
and I thought of even trying to do like a Spanish takeover in for said as well. Like have episodes maybe like a month of just interviewing
Espanol.
folks from Colombia or from Mexico or from other countries that already are legalized and what's going on there and talking about that. I remember on Clubhouse there was the Cannabis in Espanol
Yeah.
led by God, what's that guy's name? I want to say it's Pedro from Colombia. He's an
Me
attorney out
olvidó.
there. Huh?
Me olvidó. No, no me
Yeah.
recuerdo.
So I think that would be dope.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I think you should do that.
it's so cool to hear. I mean, like Danny always reminds us that a lot of the work that we're doing and why we want to hear the stories of the people that are behind these brands and these companies and what's happening within our community is because there is little ones behind us, and so we want to make it a more positive world, a better, like more information out there, definitely, so they don't have to struggle through these things. You have three, and I don't have personally, but I got my nieces and nephews who I love very much, and so I'd like for them to be able to participate in this, but in a very healthy way.
How does it feel as a mom to have your son working in the industry? Because
Um,
that's a first for us.
Yeah,
Every parent that we've had,
they're young.
they're either young parent, like they have young children, or if they do have older children, they've expressed that their children have no interest
Mhm.
in cannabis because they're
Taboo.
not just taboo, but just because mom and dad's
Oh,
doing
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
oh,
they
that's
have no
true.
interest in wanting to do it.
Right.
You're our first guest that their child is in the industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, for me, because I'm an herbalist, I raised my son since he was little. I raised him, taking him on the land, showing him the plants, doing wild harvest of medicines, medicine making at home, juicing. I taught him how to wild forage. I told him what plants that he could eat, which plants were not safe, how to build a lean to, how to do his own fire. Like, I taught him how to survive in the wild. And I used to nanny, I used to teach yoga to kids. I'm very connected with kids.
Yeah.
And I taught kids herbology as well. So I would go to his classroom, I would teach yoga. I would also come in and I would do tinctures. I would teach them how to make an herbal tincture. I did a lavender tincture with the kids, that they could take home. And so I had a lot of experience talking with kids about plants. And with my son, I just, every step of the way, I would nourish in him a deeper understanding as
Mhm.
we go, age appropriate.
Right.
And, when he was 10 and 11 and 12, I said, listen, there are certain plants that are acceptable for you to use now, like chamomile and sage and other plants that are completely acceptable. And then there are plants that are not acceptable for you to use until, after you're 18. So I maintained that. And, one of the things I'm sad about, I would have to say, is that our poor teenagers are left out in the cold in legalization, because
Mhm.
most of us who use cannabis and smoke cannabis, we started when we were teens,
Yep.
but our system doesn't acknowledge teen use, doesn't acknowledge the medicine that is there for teens. And so, and I also, as parents, like, we have to protect our kids. So that's why I maintained until he was 12 or 13. I said, listen, you're not going to be imbibing this until you're 18. Well, when he was 13, he came to me and he said, Mom, he said, what would you do if you found out I was smoking cannabis? And I said, well, I said, I don't think this is a theory. He's like, in theory, what would you do? And I said, well, I don't think this is a theory. I think this is true because I had been going on some day trips. And when I would come back, my weed jar was lower and lower and lower. And I'm like, there's a mouse stealing my herb or something. So I said, I don't think this is a theory. This is true. And I said, if you are imbibing, let's sit down and talk. And I spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours talking with him about cannabis use. And I just was very clear with him that it could be a complement to an incredible lifestyle. But I was like, you have to have strong work ethic. I was like, I don't want you imbibing and just sitting on the couch doing nothing all day. I was like, if you imbibe, you've got to work even harder on your goals and what you're doing. And you have to have a strong work ethic. I said, the big thing here is that cannabis will reveal yourself to yourself, and that's what I told him. I was like, and when she shows you what you need to work on, you better work on it. You better do it. You better integrate, the lessons into yourself. And so, he committed to it and he said, yes, I will. And, he ended up experiencing great relief, great healing. It's been the best thing for him. He has an incredible work ethic. And, being part, having a mom that's an entrepreneur in cannabis and just an entrepreneur in general, he's watched me incubate many great brands. And so he's always seen me hands on. I've always exposed him to what I was doing. And, being a part of a cannabis family, I mean, I'm surprised you guys haven't met more people, but I know a lot of families where their kids were, packing pens, packing pre-rolls, doing the whole thing. So he's always been around it. And now, it's a big deal that he can kind of find his own passion. We both love hash. I'm like, yeah, learn to make hash. No, but it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Like it just is natural, and you just always got to be present with your child and what their natural interests are. But he was always more of an entrepreneur, more of a builder doer kind of person.
Right.
And so it was just natural for him to want to get into this. And so, yeah, I'm very happy about it. But I'd say, talk to your kids.
Right.
And tell them about the medicine, tell them about the science, help them understand age appropriate, of course, but help them understand why this is such a powerful plant, why this is the mother plant really for humans.
Yeah.
And why does it work? And that's going to help you navigate everything with your kid. And you'd rather have them hear it from you than anyone else.
Sure. Yeah. I had another question before you got here. We're talking to B. As the editor in chief of a magazine, does that mean that you have to read through every single article?
Yes, I do.
Because you choose to, or because it's part of the process?
Well, it's my job. It's my job. I have the final say as to what goes out into the public. So I have to. I have a managing editor who's wonderful, Vivian McPeak. And he assists me greatly. And because, we have a very small team. So we have a 6-person team. And I'm the number one closer on the team. And I'm also, I wear several hats. So I'm the editor, I'm the closer, I'm the CEO as well, doing all of the business development for the magazine and, raising money and everything else that we need to do. I'm doing it. So I have a managing editor that helps to basically do the first pass and bring all of the content in. We work together to I curate the content that's going to be coming in, and he assists me in managing the content contributors and reviewing all of the work. And then the whole team actually reviews the entire book once it's completed. And then I go through for the final pass of the book, and that's it. Like I have to do the final read through, and I do several read throughs. I don't just do one. I read it again and again and again and again to make sure that we catch every single mistake. So It's a
Is
lot.
what's one of your memorable stories that you've told on an issue?
I think one of the biggest was interviewing Cheech and Chong. I went to visit them in Pacific Palisades and took the one up the coast and sat with them, rolled both of them hash joints.
Nice.
That was fun. And played the harmonica with Tommy. I play the blues harmonica. So, and he's a big into music because he was a blues musician before he got into comedy. A lot of people don't know that he got a music contract to do blues music. And then he was in BC and he started a nightclub. And Cheech came out to basically cover what they were doing with improv comedy. Cheech was a writer and he was basically writing about the comedy club. And he ended up like auditioning and coming into like this improv thing, and that's how it happened. They met. I mean, acid was involved, and like they
Sure.
were just like fucking around, and one thing led to the another, and they started doing this comedy improv show together. But it was all by happenstance. So that was definitely a very memorable interview that I did.
Nice.
I also loved my interview with David Bronner and Alex and Allison Gray. We covered them. David Bronner from Dr. Bronner's Soaps, but also Sun and Earth certified. And then Santana, Salvador Santana, Carlos's son. That was he's a beautiful person, and I really enjoyed creating the Latinos in Cannabis issue
Yeah.
and all the different Latinos that we highlighted in this space. And yeah, that was
That was the
definitely
one where you also had Casa Flor on
yep,
there as well, right?
absolutely.
Nice.
Casa Flor, amazing. Um, 4 generations of cannabis growers,
Yeah.
amazing family. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
love
want to go
Casa
check out
Flor.
their farm.
Shout out to Casa Flor.
That's right. We got the. I put up some of the magazines on the screen there.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Latinos issue with the angel holding the earth,
Got
done by
this one.
Michael Rios. That last one was Latino artist Michael Rios. Yep, that's
Okay.
Michael Rios's work. And there's Salvador with his father Carlos,
Yeah.
and
We have the
then
other
that's
supernova
Supernova
women.
women of color in cannabis, highlighting all of these beautiful women, inspiring women in the space. And then that's the Alex and Allison Gray artistic cover, and then that's David Bronner in the corner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're going to be doing NFTs with each of our covers. Thank you for showing those covers.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to be doing some exciting stuff, and we're launching this summer the Skunk Brigade Global Membership Club. So we're going to have all these different membership opportunities for people to participate with us and receive benefits back for being a member of the magazine. So
Nice.
we're doing a lot of new exciting stuff to help monetize the brand and protect the brand so we can
Right.
keep on fighting for the right things.
You mentioned an event happening in a few months. You want to share a little more about that event?
Sure. Yeah. We're doing August 6th, Saturday, a beautiful summer launch event where we're going to be celebrating the summer issue. It's going to be happening at the 91 Club in downtown LA, which I'm very excited about. We have some incredible people coming out. We're going to be doing a few panels throughout the day. We're going to have music, food, vendors, many different styles of vendors. We're going to have
Right.
a green market component there and art. So it's going to be a beautiful day, and we're going to have music. You can, in the evening, we're going to definitely, as things start to wind down, we're going to have music so people can dance and enjoy themselves,
Oh,
and lots of
nice.
different places where you can roll up and consume.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to consume on site. So that will be August 6th, Saturday, 91 Club. Definitely check us out at Skunk Magazine, and you'll on IG, on Facebook, and on our website, and you'll see more info of the event coming up.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that event.
Me too. I'm excited too. Definitely want to have you guys there.
Yeah,
sure.
that's it.
Sure.
That's what I'm excited about.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
man.
events.
Yeah, we're going to be doing them every quarter. Definitely want to do a Latino event in the future where we
Yeah.
bring
Yes.
all the different Latino performers, mariachis, and I want to bring like other different kind of cool music and all the Latino brands. Okay, so pinky
We're
promise.
working on
Let's
that.
do that for the
Let's get
future.
that
A
for
future
sure.
event that we do.
Yeah.
Um, so once are you already starting on the fall issue?
Oh yeah,
That's already
we've been
you gotta
working on it for 3 weeks. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we have to be ahead of the eight ball.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
next issue is going to be exciting. We're doing a special commemorative kind of historical issue with
Okay.
it's going to be a very artistic cover with Wiz, Ebril, Snoop, and
Oh wow.
Turner on the cover, and an artistic kind of anime cover. That's
Okay.
all top secret. We haven't announced that publicly yet, but I'm announcing it here as a special
Nice.
sneak peek.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. So yeah, definitely people can keep posted for that. It's going to be exciting, and you can always like if you don't see the magazine in your local store, you can always go to the website and buy it
Oh, yeah.
from directly from the website, and it can
And
ship anywhere.
and is it always hard copies? Can people purchase digital
Yes,
copies?
the digital copy is also available.
Nice.
Yeah, if people want to just do digital, that's fine. We do both.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the back of this one here. I just ran into and I tried the Lampire
Oh, you did?
Pharmacy. Yeah, I went up to what is it?
Ukiah.
I went up to Ukiah at the Compassionate
Compassionate Heart. That's
Compassionate
my
Heart.
friend Micah. Shout
Yeah.
out to Micah.
I actually
Rubenstein.
posted I posted a video
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
on the shop there with they had like a nice little lounge area in the back.
Oh, yeah. Micah is a good friend. Micah actually writes for the magazine, and he's been a big time supporter of Skunk. I love him very
Nice.
much. And he's a great geneticist. His Dirty Skittles, I love. He crossed his limb with Skittles and makes this wonderful, wonderful strain that all the ladies seem to love. It's very good for pain relief, but also kind of opens up your mind. It doesn't like it's not cloudy and heavy. It's very opening.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he has great genetics, strong genetics, and a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely great. What did he speak to? I think I spoke to a Roger that works there.
Okay.
And but yeah, tried some product while I was up there. It was good. It was a good time.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And then I also met the folks from Mendocino Distribution,
hmm
and they were just telling me about the what is it? Their farmers market
Yep.
they
Yeah.
have up there
Mendocino
monthly.
Producers Guild.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
they were talking to me about that. I shout out to them. I spoke with Nick and with
Absolutely.
Angela.
Nick and Tracy Pilar, Nick Smeglis and Tracy Pilar, they're doing great work.
Yeah.
Definitely deeply inspiring and definitely support them. We've
Yeah.
covered an article in the magazine with what they're doing, and we want to continue to support them. Definitely. That's the whole point of like what we were talking about earlier,
Right.
that we want to seed farmers markets across the state because it's at least a way that we can connect directly with the consumers and still keep having the conversation that we need to have, whether they get to engage with us in the dispensary or not. We got to
Yeah.
take it matters into our own hands. So
Yeah. That'll
kudos
be
to them and what they're doing.
that'll be cool to see down here in LA because you don't really see that much. At least LA's so indoor heavy with the consumers
Right.
that it'd be cool to show off what the dapps are like and what they look like and what the difference is between the two.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Mhm.
cool.
I think so. Yeah. And also showing really yummy, clean indoor growing as well.
Yeah.
I'm hell bent on proving that you can do clean indoor growing at large scale and proving the numbers and the results because
Yeah.
I think that, that's worthwhile too. And it's important. We need to keep doing it. So,
For sure.
yay.
B,
Awesome.
What's up, Danny?
are you ready?
I'm
your Be
ready.
Intentional
Let's
moment?
be intentional. Yeah, definitely.
So we got this new segment going on and The segment's called Be Intentional.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna do a little thing next time. Like I'm gonna create like this whole little
Oh, I
flashy thing
like
for you.
that.
Yeah. So this month actually, we're closing out June, and so I just wanted to make aware that we're closing out Pride Month, and so that's although I'm not the person who outwardly goes out to all these festivities, I also want to acknowledge all those people that can't outwardly express themselves because of safety, because of they know why. And so I just want to shout out, we see you, I see you, and that don't let anybody ever pressure you to do something that you're not ready to. And so just much love.
Yeah, right
Nice.
on. Queer, definitely. That's something so important.
Yeah.
And I'm queer. I'm bisexual woman, and that's something that it's close to my heart. I actually want to do a queer issue next year because so many incredible queer people
Yeah.
have been a part of the cannabis movement. A
Right.
lot of
Right.
people don't realize that we wouldn't have the modern cannabis industry without the AIDS
That's right.
epidemic and what Dennis Perone did and Harvey Milk and others, James Baldwin, he was queer and he
Yeah.
used, and a lot of people who were queer, fabulous people, um, also used cannabis in their artistry, and maybe didn't feel comfortable to come out
Yeah.
with their use. So, through time, I just feel like, yes, we need to celebrate all humans and we
Yes.
need to celebrate our queer brothers and sisters. So,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so everybody out there,
Everybody.
happy happy queer month. Closing it out for sure. And again, for those who have chosen or because of safety, have not already come out or don't or choose not to come out.
And
You
that's
know,
fine too.
yeah,
Yeah.
we love you.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for a safe space,
Adore
Adore LA is that
LA.
safe space here in
Yes. Hell
LA
yeah.
that you can go and
Community.
join the community,
If
join us. I'm a part of the community. I love the community. You've heard me say time and time again. Even if you just want some food, Adore LA's got
Adore
you.
LA. Okay, I'm
That's
writing it
right.
down. I want to
Yeah.
go.
And so and then we've talked about this again, and because I know that they have some events coming up. Um and we've interviewed Pastor Ed before in the past. Um Before anything, it's community. And it is tied to spiritual, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And so welcome everybody. I know that we have some events coming up about family friendly events, and also dinner church has actually officially kicked up again.
Yeah, I missed it, but I was bummed out. But well, something happened. I can't remember what it was. I know something happened that weekend that it was like already like 6 o'clock, and Julia was like, "Hey, we missed the dinner." I was like,
Oh,
Yeah, you missed
man,
chicken
what did you guys
taquitos.
have? Chicken taquitos?
Yep,
mm.
that's
Dang.
right.
Did you guys make them? Are we
Of
making them too? Like,
course, of
are you?
course.
We're back to making them again?
No. So if there are, and also if there's any volunteers that want to volunteer in any of this, it is at the moment a small community. A lot of queer community got affected during COVID, and so there's also that scare, and so there is a slow process right now, and normally the way a door dinner is that you show up early, you participate like family, and you get hands in there and then cook part of the food that we later eat. But at the moment they're only taking I think 2 to 3 volunteers to help out with that process, just for safety.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Fine.
Good volunteer, Danny.
All right. All right. Well, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Julie, thank you for coming through and hanging out with us.
Thank you so much, Danny and Dee. It's
Yeah,
wonderful to spend time with you.
This is today was cool. I want to have
it
you
was
back.
wonderful.
Definitely want to. We're gonna do some more things together. I'm excited about the future
Yeah.
with Skunk Magazine and all with all the events with all the future um, the publications that are going to be coming out and those ideas. I'm excited to see that. So thank you for sharing that with
Yeah.
us.
Thank you, Danny. Right on. Yeah, we're gonna do more. This is only the beginning.
That's right.
Nice.
For all those who didn't know, Latin owned, fully
Yes.
owned. That's something to celebrate.
That's
Woo,
right.
la chicha
Yeah.
continúa.
All right. So with that being said, check you guys out next week. All right. We'll see you.
Much love.